yet to do what we do in a little time. It's still necessary to gain a reputation, that therefore his opinion was, that if they aimed at quickness joined with security, they must build a wall round about the whole city, which was, he thought, the only way to prevent the Jews from coming out anyway. And that then they would either entirely despair of saving the city, and so surrender it up to him, or be still the more easily conquered when the famine had further weakened him. For that besides this wall he would not lie entirely at rest afterward, but would take care then to have banks raised again, when those that would oppose them would become weaker. But that if anyone should think such a work to be too great, and not to be finished without such much difficulty, he ought to consider that it was not fit for the Romans to undertake any small work, and that none but the Most High himself could these accomplish any great thing whatsoever. Could with these accomplish anything whatsoever.
Any great thing whatsoever. Now, as you can see, Titus planned to build a wall around Masada and starve them out. That's border control, what they're talking about doing at the borders right now. Building an electronic surveillance fence around the whole country. There's nothing new under the sun, folks. They're not coming up with new plans. It worked the first time. Dumb the people down, have the people focus on something else besides what's going on, have them playing video games, dealing with rap videos, and going out partying. Just have them focus on kid dumb things. Have them sinning while we sit and plan on killing these folks. Same thing. And you have to realize we were more on a level as a government back then than we are now. If we couldn't deal with that back then, you know we're not in no position to fight back now. I need you to go to the third paragraph.
Paragraph 3. So all hope of escaping was now cut off from the Jews.
So all hope of escaping was now cut off from the Jews. So there was no way out now. Let me tell you, it took them a while to do it, but when they built this wall, no rations can go in and out. And if any Jew came down from Masada, they would kill the Jew. Read.
Together with their living of going out of the city. Then did the famine widen its progress, and devoured the people by whole houses and families.
By whole houses and families. Okay? Now, I seen something yesterday that was disturbing, that in Patterson, New Jersey, they're planning on now having a curfew that won't allow people out of the house between 12 midnight and 7 in the morning. In rural neighborhoods.
It's temporary for 60 days.
Huh?
It's temporary for 60 days.
They said the income tax was temporary when they did that. You understand? See, but these are tests they roll out to see how people will react to it. There's no such thing as temporary. The tax was temporary, okay? And then he said because so much crime, it's half the murders this year than it was last year this time. So it's less crime by 50% than it was last year. Okay? So they're doing this to roll out and test martial law. They had it on Fox News, and the guy was like, "Can you do this?" He was like, "Well, we can do it in rural neighborhoods if we're not stopping people from going back and forth. If they're on the road, if they're commuting, if they're going from one place to the next, then that's okay." Okay? But we can't have people just frequenting and walking out in public. Where are we? They're going to do it. It's the same thing in Masada. Stop the people from frequenting or being able to get around. Everything they're doing comes from what we're reading right here. I wouldn't be surprised if they're in the Pentagon somewhere with the Josephus over. Okay, or the Roman cannons open on how Titus fought against the Jews. Same thing. Read on.
The upper rooms were full of women and children.
The upper room was filled of women and children. Now think about your women and children now. Go ahead.
That were dying by famine.
They were dying by famine. I don't think this can't happen, folks. The UN armies are on our soil. And they have no emotional attachment to you. Okay? No emotional attachment. And if you think your army guys or people that's in the army is going to do something for you that are attached to you, you're wrong also. They are obligated to the government of the world to fight against any enemies this country deemed enemy, foreign or domestic. They swear that before they go in, and if they decide not to, they'll get put down. And then, and then they'll have some army guy at the family's door giving them some bogus story. Look what happened in Katrina, man. You think cops was really shooting themselves in the head? You had cops looking at this and saying, what's going on here? I'm not going to do this. And then they put them down. They put them down, man. Finish reading.
And the lanes of the cities were full of dead bodies of the aged.
And it was full of dead body of the aged. This would happen in Masada in 70 AD. So our elderly was on the street just dead. Now don't think that it can't happen here. You forgot about the bodies floating, the old people died in Katrina? With the sheets over them and people would have to go. It was a can. Somebody was left on a road or left somewhere for over 2 weeks with a can over him, and the guy moved it, and the army and everyone seen it and wouldn't move it. Wouldn't move the dead body. Same exact thing. Read.
The children also.
The children also. You notice with the swine flu? They're lying now and saying that the biggest threat is to the young. People between the newborns and the age of 25 are the biggest risk to die from the swine flu. How is that when these are the people with the strongest immune system? But they're targeting the children because if you kill the children, you kill the generation. Okay, same thing. They have no regard. You look at this. Titus and Vespasian had no regard for their children, for our children, the elderly. Read.
The children also, and the young men wandered about the marketplaces like shadows, all swelled with famine.
All swelled with famine. Okay, so the children's stomach was big, we're ready to bust because of famine, no food. Read.
And fell down dead, wheresoever their misery seized them.
Go ahead.
As for burying them, those that were sick themselves were not able to do it. And those that were hardy and well were deterred from doing it by the great multitude of those dead bodies.
So those that were sick couldn't bury the dead, and those that were well couldn't bury the dead because there was too many to bury. And they might die burying the dead. Read.
And by the uncertainty, there was how soon they should die themselves. For many died as they were burying others, and many went to their coffins before that fatal hour was come.
And many went to their coffins well before the fatal hour was come. Read.
Nor was there any lamentation made under these calamities.
So it was so many people dying. So many people. You had people there not even crying. They couldn't mourn anymore. There was no mourning. Death was just rapid to the point where it was normal.
Like in Iraq.
Yeah, like what's going to happen here soon. It was reported on Fox News that they estimated that 90,000 will die of the swine flu. And they know that's a bold-faced lie. But they're preparing people to die from the vaccine. They're going to report to the rest of the world that it's swine flu.
These are like half Americans will catch it. 50%.